Okay, so we have come out of executive session at 7:56. And we will continue on. I haven't had any water or sewer updates from Scott, so I'm assuming that they're still formulating final costs with DJM for the water line. So we'll move on to the planning, the rezoning application for Fancher. Everybody has a copy of the paperwork. Emily's gonna begin the process. If that plan is going around, if anybody wants another copy of the plan to be able to look at the full-size plan, let me know. And I can make photocopies for anybody that needs it.
This is not the Fancher.
No, this is
Kelly Schultz.
another one we're going
State
to,
Road Development.
yes. Which pending planning board projects, we'll move on to that. Yeah, so you each have a packet for 8-lot major subdivision on Stage Road that Kelly Schultz has put before the planning board. The planning board has gone through the review process. They have given us resolutions for next Monday's meeting to start our end of it, hold a public hearing and get comments on the project. So I don't know, if you guys want to review this on your own, if you've looked at it already, I don't know if you have any comments on it. Relatively simple plan. It's lots,
Stage Road.
Modified it from 11 to 8.
yeah, and there are lots right around his home
Yeah,
on Stage Road there.
and they satisfied the stormwater requirements from Wendell,
Yes.
because that was.
That
a
is my
concern.
understanding, yes. So, we'll go through the normal process with calling a public hearing and starting lead agency and coordinated review.
So it's been recommended that we pass it from the planning.
Yes.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
In their minutes.
Julie gave you a memo with it too here.
Town engineer recommended approval with comments. See memo, I didn't see Scott's memo, but.
Wendell did 5 reviews
Okay.
of the project.
It's on page
Illustrates
one. Never start there. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay.
All right. So as long as nobody has any major issues or whatever with that, we will start the process on that project for Monday's meeting.
Schultz has been fairly reliable, hasn't he, as a resident of the town of Houston in the projects that he engages in.
Absolutely,
He's a businessman.
absolutely.
We need more farmers too.
We'll move on to highway items. Oh, we do also. Did you get the packet from Julie on Niagara? Specialty metals too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Julie also, I think we just got this on Friday, so I don't know if all of you picked it up and saw it or not.
Last Friday.
Yes, yes.
We could-
this past. Niagara Specialty Metals is proposing a 13,255 square foot addition at their facility. So we also have that as well, although I don't think she sent us any of the resolutions on that yet. So depending on whether we get those in enough time, will depend on whether we can address them on Monday or not. It is going on an existing building. They're removing part of an existing building and adding,
Let's see over here.
yes, there you go. Yes, they're widening it out and making it longer.
I don't understand this building. Is this a proposed one? right
That's
here?
the parking lot. I believe.
Why they got that?
See this,
I'm just trying to see what building they're adding it to.
Are they going
And why
north?
is that?
it's this building and here's the parking lot. So here's the fence.
Okay, they're soft cutting something.
Yes.
Okay.
And so they're taking this part of the building off and widening it and expanding it out.
So that's the sheet mill building right there. If you remember at the last meeting when they were here, when they were expanding the other mill, which is got the big tower on it.
Mm.
I think that was mostly for storage and cafeteria and lunchroom when they did that. This one might bring people in because of the sheet mill is where you get the pounding, but they don't have a second shift anymore for the sheet mill. I think both mills are running first shift. So hopefully that'll eliminate any of that, where before it was second shift and the neighbors, it would vibrate every time that piece of steel went through, like rollers would hit. So when the steel goes through, the rollers lift up, the rollers, I don't remember the weight, but they're probably 10,000 pounds. Somewhere in there, they're heavy. And when that piece of steel goes through, it hammers down on the roller.
Didn't you mention something about the new, which would reduce, that there was gonna be some damping? So if they put in a new roller, it wouldn't have been comparable to the present old
It might be,
In terms of
it could be a
dampening
reversing
the
mill. There's,
vibration.
I didn't
This is
talk to
something-
Bob.
With reference to the furnace,
Well,
according to the planning board committee. Needed to build this addition for an extension to allow for a continuous furnace. Planning board reviewed the plans, remember Scott?
Well, I'm only thinking that those might be for annealing furnaces,
Yeah, I don't
which
know.
run constantly when they put the steel in there, because it gets stressed out. Then you have to anneal it to relax it again, and it takes, I forgot how many hours, it's been a while since I've been there. But it could go like 12 hours. the
Okay.
furnace. It heats up to a certain point, then cools down slowly.
Okay. Let's stress,
I'm sure Bob will be here for the public meeting, so,
he's the chief,
Yeah.
he's the
Shabbat.
president, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Shabbat.
chief operating officer. Is this a privately owned company?
It's an employee-owned company, so I
Employee,
guess, yeah.
and it's the way it's been since it started? When did it start, after World War II?
Oh, no. Niagara Specialty started with there used to be Simon Steel in Lockport. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Yeah.
And the owner worked for them and they were slowly going out of business and he was buying the used equipment and setting up another mill
And
over
that's
here.
where
Yeah,
it
that's
came
how they got
In the
started.
fifties, sixties, seventies?
No, this would have been, I don't know the exact time, but probably in the during the 80s, maybe sometime.
So if Julie gets us over those resolutions and stuff in time, this may be on the agenda too for lead agency and public hearings.
Before that, Doctor, was AMAX. AMAX was there, and Jack Davis bought
Yeah.
the land at I2R, and then Barry bought the property and started putting the buildings up around the side of it.
Do you all have two copies of this? It looks to be similar. She included. These look to be the same. Did I steal yours?
no, I got mine.
Yours should be the same.
It doesn't back up to
I'm dyslexic.
There you go.
One eye reads the other.
Ugh.
All right. So on to highway items. John and I had a meeting tonight before the meeting with Mike. And we went over several of the issues that he came to us about last month. And we came to some determinations with him. He has 3 bids for the mower. And So we have asked him to go back, talk to Gary and Chris. Make a determination, because the bids are all relatively close, most of them are all relatively close together. If there is, would be a reason why they would wanna lean one way or the other with one of the vehicles, and then he will get back to us and we will make the resolution for him to go ahead and order. No matter which one they choose, they're looking at a minimum of 6+ months before they take possession of it anyways. There's anywhere from 6 to 8 months out.
Yeah, the first tractor would be the Massey, but the mower wouldn't be ready till later. And even the Massey tractor, I don't think you would get until going into maybe November at the earliest.
Be ready for next season.
Right.
Hopefully, it depends on when the cutters can come in. They were, how far were they out?
180 days, weren't
180
they?
days, so that's a half a year.
The tractor we were talking about last year,
Yes,
it's over 20,000, correct?
we have 3,
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
You have to go out to bid if it's over 20,000.
That's what I thought, we were discussing that in there. And, cause I was questioning Don on the list, cause he's got quotes from,
we have 3 state contract
Okay,
quotes.
they're on the state contract.
Yes, there are
Okay.
3 state contract quotes,
Okay.
yes. Sorry, I don't have my lingo down yet. Yes, 3 state contract quotes.
That's that acronym I used to know, isn't
Yes.
The OGS,
it? Everybody knows
yes.
what it is.
Yeah, so then that's, we'll just have to follow up and make sure we're following their procedure, because we can
Well,
piggyback on
that's
the
the
state
thing.
contract, but there's methodology to it.
exactly, and that's kind of what I was trying to convey in there, this. On different manufacturers, you might not be able to choose the manufacturer you want if you go that way, right?
Yes,
Yeah, because
So-
there are 3 different, there's a John Deere, there's a New Holland, and there's the Massey.
right, and they basically caution you that, you know, sometimes people will say that they're on the state bid.
And they just pick it like
might-
a grocery
and they might
store.
not be. So with the purchases, we can look at best value.
Mhm.
So if
Right.
there is, you know, a reason why one is a better value, even if it's a higher amount, we can weigh that. So we'll see what information he comes back, and then,
Right.
you know, I would encourage you to follow up with OGS to get the proper documentation.
So my question would be like, if we stuck with one manufacturer and then go through the state bids, we should eliminate that part of this also. It's the same specs.
Because if it's not on the state bid, then you have to go out for public.
That's what I'm
competitive.
saying, that's exactly what I'm saying, if you, because of that program, say you wanted, I'm just gonna throw. It's,
Particular model number, particular tractor.
say it's a Jackass. You don't have to take a pony or a horse, you can just go to specifically bid for that. And limit it to a manufacturer, is what I'm saying.
I think that could be a factor in best value, but I don't think it's appropriate to limit to a particular
Okay.
manufacturer.
Okay. Well, we'll let them come back with what they see, and then we did tell them we have to run it by the attorneys, because we've been kind of trying to keep track and doing this the right way moving forward, so.
But the ones you talked about are all on state contract. OGS
The
is
same with,
satisfied.
same with the lifts, you gave what, the 5 different places?
Yes, yeah, after we got the information back from OGS, I went on and for the lifts, they had 5 different companies that were on the state contract for lifts. So I took the specs, you know, just specifically, not a specific brand, but specifically what, 4 jacks for 75,000 pounds, 2 jacks for 37,000 pounds. What we were looking for, send them off to all 5 companies and ask them to give us quotes.
Again, we might not be able to get the one we want, then if we go that direction, we're gonna have to, unless we can
We'll see
do
how it
best
comes in.
value, right?
It depends on what the,
But the problem we have with
Checks.
determining best value is we don't have any history to know.
well, we'll see what the prices come in
Yeah,
and, you know, one might not. They might have different warranty terms, they might have different availability, there's a lot of different things that could play a role in
Okay.
best value.
Mhm.
okay.
And I did include that in the email when I sent to each of them asking, was to include in their quote, what the lead time on getting them was as well, because you're right, that today's world, it is a big factor. So we'll see what happens. I sent all that out on Friday. What else did we talk about? We talked about that. Oh, we also talked about wanting to do the resolution authorizing Mike to put the order in for a new truck for 2024.
Not-
Oh, big truck,
Big
truck.
not a mic truck.
Big truck
Okay.
for 2024.
We discussed that the last meeting, right?
Yes,
The
Yeah,
last time Mike was here.
trying to
yes,
get to catch up on a schedule.
right.
There should be a life
Start.
cycle replacement. You and I had this conversation. I mean, because I have the same thing at work. We have life cycle replacement of equipment, just kind of, whether you need it or not, it just kind of rotates through.
Mhm.
And those trucks should be that way. You want it at a high value when you kind of trade it in and get a new truck. So that way you're trying to get as much out of the truck as possible instead of, just wearing it totally out and get nothing for it.
Yeah, well, to me,
So-
it's more than wearing them out too. To me, I've said this before, the workhorse is, you don't need them maybe in the summer as much as you like to use them all the time, but in the winter time, you have to have them ready and able to go. And we do get a good contract from the county, so there's no reason not to reinvest into that as far as for plowing the roads of a contract. To make sure we're updating that equipment to fulfill that contract too.
Oh, and on that note, Mike did also let us know today, he gave Colleen and I a copy of the letter that his CHIPS money is in, and it's 240,000 and change. So that is,
That'll help with the roads you want to tar and chip. Right?
so now he can move forward with his roads. Yeah, and part of that money will also help, I think, towards equipment, so.
Yeah, I personally, professionally, I guess, would like to see more of that go towards our roads, Our roads are in pretty decent shape, but I think we have to have the vision going forward too, that we gotta start widening some of the town roads
Yeah.
and getting them in the shape for the future too.
Mhm.
He's got a good start on that. I was impressed with some of the projects he
Yeah, they've been
completed
chipping
already, with
away at
widening
it,
them
so,
shoulders and everything, so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know they plan to do that when they do dye
yeah,
in the next month. They're gonna start dye in June,
That dies the town road,
yes.
that culvert, where a few people flashed it. You can't widen that too much there. Are they going to replace the culvert? do you
well, I
think?
would imagine they would,
I hope.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
yeah, we hope, but.
Back to the trucks, wasn't it a couple of years ago? Mike had ordered the truck and it hasn't come in, and then finally it did come in. It was like a year.
Yeah,
Yes,
before COVID, it
that's-
was around
yeah.
All
COVID.
of that is resolved. We do have the truck and it's
Yes,
working.
we have the truck now.
So
We have
we-
2 trucks right now that are kind of below a schedule that we kind of feel comfortable with. Well, I forgot what year, one was in
01 and
01 and
04.
04. So
That's
2,
good. So get another one to keep the schedule going.
And that's the thought, because of the lead time on trucks right now,
Yeah,
Mike said that if we put the order in now, we aren't looking at even getting the truck in until the end of next year, end of 24.
so in 2025.
So it
it'll
wouldn't even be on the
available.
road for probably the winter of 24, 25. By
it
by
all
the
depends,
time
yeah, it all, I mean,
Crazy.
they get it together,
you're talking 18 months, but you don't know what could happen in 18 month time. It could be longer, or they could start catching up and start pushing
Right.
it sooner.
Because it was just a frame, and then the stuff that went onto it,
Right.
that was at a later
Different
time.
place of the bulk, and I think, yeah.
So probably with that in mind, with the 04, about the time we get that one, we will be putting in another order for another one.
Fine.
Yeah.
You can't do the job without the equipment.
So I think, was there anything else that we talked about that I didn't touch on? We got the used equipment, the new truck order. We can talk later about the idea of the annual spring resolution for his
Oh,
work.
yeah,
We can talk later about that. That's not a impending need, so. On to building projects, library. Anything?
nothing, had a library board meeting, and, but there's no leaks, so that's good, and August is getting closer, hopefully for the new HVAC system to go in, and, I do have to reach out to Dean Hobbs again, I wanna get him there, and I believe we gotta work on this, so I gotta call him, because I'd like to get this before winter. Getting bids out for regular maintenance or inspections on our flat roofs. And I know you said you wanted to come and check this one out here too.
Yeah.
So we'll get them to look at it, get some pricing, and then see how we can put that out for bid and hopefully get that going before fall, because when the rainy season, the snow season comes in, I don't wanna be called anymore to bring my shop back in.
Yeah.
Sump up water.
Yeah.
Because someone's off the dog or something.
Hopefully stop replacing ceiling tiles, right?
Yeah.
So. Okay, I didn't have anything new from Scott on the town hall parking lot, so that's sort of in limbo. Clarence Center or Cultural Center blinds. I have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 AM with another company. And once she gets me her quote, hopefully by the end of this week, then we'll know which direction we're going with that. So I'll report on that when I have that information. But hopefully we're nearing the end with that. I do not have any updates on any of the grants other than what we talked about before in executive session. One thing I did want to bring up under other, I got a phone call from trustee Forrestal today, just to discuss some of the parking problems that they had at the soccer tournament this past weekend.
Yeah, we gotta open that shoulder up so people can get off the road.
Well, the
I vote for
inherent
that.
problem is they weren't supposed to be parking on the road. Apparently they had it posted, no parking all along there
On the north side,
on the north side.
and they had the rope, like
Yeah.
budding,
Yeah,
but they ignored it.
They ignored it and they were parking like halfway in the roadway.
I know.
I seen that when I drove.
for the most
Yes.
part, it was, there was enough room to get through for the most part, but years past, and listen, I haven't paid attention, so it could be like a long time ago. You were allowed, they fenced up to the sidewalk, I
Yeah.
believe, so you can at least
Angle.
angle park, get them off, a place to get off the road. I don't know
But
what
they leave
changed
the
or
tail
why.
feathers out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Peter said that the inherent problem was that the Akron PD couldn't go up and ticket anybody or really take any action in any way because nobody had reached out to the village and asked or authorized PD to be on the town side, which is
that side of the
that
road.
side of the road. So they couldn't address the issue.
So did it
So,
say no parking on that side of the road or just on the
Yes.
other side?
no,
North side of the road, no parking by police. The
yes,
signs were there.
North side, what about the south side?
South sides, no lines, no
Well,
signs, just the road.
no,
Yeah.
supposedly there were things that said no parking in certain spots along the road, Peter claims,
Yeah, and they were going on.
but they ignored them.
You were ripping them off, weren't you?
Why would I do that?
Either way,
Spare time?
What Peter suggested is maybe next year, like we did with the bicentennial event, going into the soccer tournament event, we write a letter to the village requesting or giving them permission, jurisdictional permission to patrol the park during the tournament.
How much will it cost?
So,
Were,
$38.50
well,
an hour?
was there room for parking?
Parking
Bes-
was on the south
Yeah, but
side of
was,
Veteran Park.
was there
Well
room
done.
or were they
The
filled up?
signs in, no,
They weren't
plenty
filled?
of room.
Oh, okay.
There's plenty of room, but people don't wanna walk.
yeah, they
The
didn't.
ones that
want-
play on the fields, they're on the north side of Veterans Park. And they've been used to for years parking on Skyline.
Yeah.
In one form or another.
Is this the first year they brought it right out to the road dock or?
COVID was very long, and I don't think they had COVID for the 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So I can't respond legitimately to that. But in the beginning, it was angled in up to the sidewalk. And then you just had a little bit of tail feathers sticking out, you had a little bit more.
I don't know why they did it to the road. I don't know why they just don't let them, I'd like to know what the reasoning is. I
They
guess.
didn't want anybody parking, and they figured they wouldn't park because they had to look right to the road. And on the other side of the road, no parking, but there wasn't any on the south side that you could see. So it's legitimate, but how much it's gonna cost? The cost will be borne by the soccer.
Well,
Sure,
that's what
right.
I'm wondering,
Well, that
right?
guy would have been getting writers crap.
I know,
If you write all those tickets. out,
unbelievable.
it's hard.
I started out from sunrise and I got as far as sunset. This is, oh, I'm not gonna try it. So I turned right around at Darren's and went all the way to Crittenden. Crittenden's Maine, and then
When coming around,
to Rite Aid. Coming back, I went down Buell and had a right-hand turn and just,
That was probably worse. You're probably better going towards Buell than turning off of Buell.
in a sense, yeah, provided the guy wasn't coming at me in the center, I didn't want,
yeah,
but there is room between the power pole, your telephone poles, whatever.
So when I went through, there was plenty of room if people were tied up against there for two vehicles to go through. But it
Assuming
only
they're
takes
not
one,
traveling fast.
it only takes one person
right,
Yeah.
to put a
exactly.
bottleneck in
And
there.
it takes the other person coming on the north side to squeegee over onto the grass.
I just
a
closed
little.
my eyes in Florida.
Well, you're driving a Sherman tank, mine isn't quite that heavy. It's something to look into.
yes, well, we'll have to
They
think
just
about
don't
it for
wanna
next
park
year,
In south of Veterans,
yeah.
and the signs were there and everything.
So what's the suggestion that the soccer league put that in their note, their application or whatever?
I think that
That
maybe,
no cars will be ticketed or towed if you park over on Skyline?
yeah, maybe we need to ask them also to be proactive in their literature to make sure that
Yeah,
very
let
information
people know,
is out there,
Because it's a change of best practice.
yeah.
right?
You know how that is.
Well, and that becomes the problem too, because obviously during the event, the soccer people are focused on the event, they're not paying attention to what's happening on Skyline. So I guess that's really the whole point of allowing Akron PD to go in and take action, because,
I would question again, like, I agree with Doc. It was well marked on the one side of the road, no parking, but the other side, I thought it was just a strip of tape, basically.
It was the rope.
Yeah, or rope, yeah.
It was the rope. They put
I
the
don't, I
rope
don't
up
think there was
every
any,
year.
it said no parking there, so I don't even know if you'd be able to ticket them for it. It didn't say that anyway.
I didn't see too much.
yeah, I'm just going by what Peter
Yeah.
told me. So,
What do we need to do with respect to the suggestion? Just you respond to them and say, we very definitely recommend, or we're interested in having the,
yeah,
what do you
when,
call, give permission for the
Extra.
Akron PD to
Yeah,
monitor it, and
Yeah.
to put in the literature that goes out to these people.
that
who
could be
are
part of the
participating.
special use permit. They apply for a special use permit for that, right?
special
So,
event.
special
permit.
event.
Yes,
Very
So-
definitely.
So you make sure that's conveyed. there.
And sooner than later to communicate that to the president, whoever it is. I think Bill Kay might be, I'm not sure.
Mm.
Okay.
Other than that, was it a pretty good event? No, no,
from what I heard, yeah. Yeah,
They
that was the
make
only
money.
issue.
And it went along fine.
The other thing I have under other, which we haven't talked about yet, again, not super pressing, but we do need to talk about, is the allocation of our fund balance. I didn't know, do you guys want Colleen and I to put a proposal together that you guys can then pick apart and make comments on? Or do you want to set aside specific time to talk about it?
I think you guys have the most experience with the budget, probably do a proposal and
Okay, because what we can do is we can let y'all know, obviously the current funds that we have, what the balance is in the current funds that we have, the amount of money that we suggest to leave in fund balance, and then what that would give us to work with allocating into other potential projects or funds. And maybe that'll give us a starting point to
Yeah,
start
to start.
talking about it.
It would seem reasonable, because we don't know how much you're thinking of. And we put an awful lot of trust in Colleen and her expertise, and she's, how many, 18 years or whatever it is. So at least we'd have a number of
Okay,
what to play with.
yeah, I wouldn't know what to have, what you would feel comfortable as far as having fund balance, but in other projects, I think anything in infrastructure, like, which we discussed, to put the excess and start earmarking it. And a good example right now is roads, right?
Mhm.
And then the
Or
other,
parking lots.
yeah, I'd like to make this parking lot smaller and get it nice and get it fixed up and.
well, and that's one of the good things is we do already currently have a capital reserve fund for town hall improvements, which she believes Dave planned originally to use to do, parking lot improvements for this year. Cause he knew that that was on the radar. So, all right, we will put together a proposal for you and then we can discuss that next time around. And then that'll give us something to start with and we'll go from there. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about? The only other thing I wanted to make everybody aware of is sometime at some point this week, I've already talked to Mike about it. We have had 5 pallets of block that are being donated, which we could potentially use for a kennel or any other project that we deem it necessary to use it for. Mike is having it delivered up to the lay down area at the JMF. He's got a spot set aside for it. So
Where's this block coming from?
from a
Donation.
resident who's donating it for the town to use.
Potential use is for construction of a dog.
Well, we could use it for the dog kennel, we could use it for something at the parks. Anything within the realm of what we would potentially need.
Oh,
Yeah.
To build
I think
something.
dog kennel makes sense because you're gonna have to build it
Well, that's
anyway.
what- Yeah,
That's all right.
all right, sorry.
He's tired.
Got it now?
Oh,
Are you up to
I know.
speed?
You had to draw me a picture in crayons, I got.
okay.
Is there anything that needs remediation that would require block?
So this is nice block,
This is nice block.
Oh, wow. Don't wish it on the
not a
dog.
cinder block.
Well, so like I said, it's just, we'll have that there and it could potentially save us money on some future projects, so.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't have anything else unless somebody does.
Electronic recycling center.
Yes, don't forget your recycling.
So you can throw a microwave out in the garbage, I didn't know that. I thought it had to go like through the whole recycling thing.
Well, if you wanna be environmentally conscious, you could do that,
Well, it says on the bulk pickup, microwaves were acceptable from modern.
yes.
They've been saving these 2 microwaves for,
For the drop.
For Saturday.
what was. I'll just take them off the road.
All right, we're done.
Okay,
Night,
yeah.
Patty.
Good night, guys.
Have a good
Modern
night.
disposes of-
You too.
It's on their sheet, you can